Good morning. Welcome. It is Sunday, June 28th. How's it going? My name is Angela. I'm a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And we are having a very, very, very rainy day here on this Sunday morning. There's rain in the forecast every single day this week, so that's kind of a bummer. But, oh, look at this. I have all these weird new things on the back end of YouTube Studio. Which, speaking of which, yesterday afternoon after the stream, I got a message from Malik Robinson, Go Elmo, who is our mod in the chat. He messaged me to let me know that the last 6 minutes of yesterday's stream was muted. I am so sorry about that. I think from what I recall, there were like 6 people watching, and I don't think they were watching very closely because nobody told me I was muted. So I have a solution for that. Give me a moment here. I have like a new chat set up, so let me get the chat situated. Let's see here. Here's the chat. Here we go. I found a really good solution for the chat. There we go. Yeah, Malik says, welcome. I have to keep a closer eye on you today. It's so sweet. Malik takes it personally when I make those types of mistakes, which he doesn't need to take it personally when I make those mistakes. Those are definitely my problem. However, I did find a really good solution today. So, okay, there we go. So the chat is set up and ready to roll. So here's the situation. Here's what's happening. And I think I've said this to people before. What's happening when I turn the camera off and I mute myself is that I am usually coughing, sneezing, blowing my nose because I have allergies and kind of this chronic runny nose. And when I first started streaming, I would watch back my videos and I would see myself like blowing my nose. And I was like, that's gross. Don't do that. You don't need to do that on camera. The problem is that I forget sometimes to unmute myself. So one more example that the best ideas come from problem solving. I'm going to show you what our solution is. So first I'm going to go here. We'll do this screen first so you can see that I have my desktop. So I created a muted scene in OBS. Here it is. There it is. That was it. That was the scene where there's no camera and there's no microphone. So it's unless I forget to change scenes, it's literally going to be impossible for me to unmute myself. So I feel like this was a really good solution. Yeah, so we're going to try this moving forward because what I had been doing is I had been turning off the camera, which is one click, muting the microphone, which is a second click. Then I would go back and I would turn the camera back on and I would forget to go and unmute the microphone. So I think that this is going to eliminate that problem. So Malik Robinson, thank you for letting me know that I did that. And yeah, we're gonna, I don't know. One of the benefits of having a small audience is that people sometimes don't notice those mistakes. But also, is it the end of the world? I mean, I was like mildly embarrassed yesterday, but then I was like, well, nobody said anything. So I guess that means nobody noticed. So we just find a way to move forward. We look for problems that we can solve. And this seems like a good way to do it. So, and Malik says, that is nice. Out of habit, you may still mute on accident. We'll see. We'll see. Because the switching scenes doesn't require me to mute. Switching scenes just means that I go to a scene that doesn't have a microphone or a camera input. That's really what that means. This is why I think this is going to solve this problem, but honestly, only time is going to tell. So, and Monique Robinson is also here. Monique and Malik, they are not related. They don't even live like anywhere near each other. It's just a coincidence. Oh yeah, and we have emotes now. We have a Heidi emote, a JavaScript, an HTML5, and a CSS3. So we have custom icons if you're a member. I think those are for members only. I spent a little time this week not only working on a good chat setup, but also adding some custom things. There are just these things that you sort of unlock once a channel gets monetized on the back end. So I want to say good morning to Shoab. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, who says hello, welcome, thanks for joining us. And yeah, it's a rainy, cozy day here in St. Paul, Minnesota. So let's get started by, let's go back. So here's what we're working on today. This is our practice layouts. We're really pretty close to being on the tail end of this. I don't think we have too much left. Excuse me. Very happy with what we got done yesterday. Today, we are going to build the video module or the video function, whatever you want to call it, module. And that's going to sit kind of in the middle here. Yesterday, we did this. So we wrote all of the render JavaScript for the rest of our items. And then I just did this. Like, how easy is this in a for each to just say, hey, if the index is 2, go ahead and append something different after that index. So, you know what? Oh, and Shoaib says, you can call me JBR. Okay, I will try to remember that. I will try to remember that. If you're here often enough, I will probably remember that. If you're not here very often, please do not be offended if you have to remind me. So I need reminders often. So, and you know what? Let's use our new mute screen because I need to go get a glass of water. So hold please. That worked well. I like it. So there we go. All right, and can I just say I love this chat setup that I came up with. I love it so much. I had so much fun. It's been a long time since I've sat and like noodled around with OBS and figured out like new scenes. I sort of fell into the trap very early in streaming that I needed gadgets, right? I had a stream deck at one point and I used it a couple of times. It's so much easier for me to just use my finger and my trackpad to switch scenes. So I sold the stream deck on eBay. I have no gadgets. I have a camera, a microphone, and I have OBS. That's it. If you're thinking about streaming or starting a YouTube channel, you really need you need very little to get started. The real success for streaming is your own creativity and how you set up scenes, and honestly, the work that you do, which in my case is obviously writing code. That's really what you need to be successful. But I'm loving this little chat scene that I set up. I think it looks really cute. So, and Malik says, mute scene put into action. I can confirm it worked properly. Yeah, I was feeling extremely clever when I came up with that. So there's that. Okay, so we'll get back here. Let's get back to our code from yesterday. So this obviously made me extremely happy that it would literally be this easy to just stick something different in between there. So I think what we're going to do is, like, we have our init function here, where we are doing our project data. I'm just going to do another function here that says add video. Yeah, I'm just going to call it add video. So we're just going to do an add video function. But first, before we do this, I asked ChatGPT a question this morning because, and I brought this up yesterday. I was like, well, first let's go back here. So we've got the hero.js and we've got projects.js, and they are basically pulling in the same set of data. They are pulling in the same data.json. And yesterday I was just sort of talking out loud saying that we obviously want to keep our JavaScript modular, but what I don't want to do is this. I don't want to fetch the same JSON twice, the same set of data twice. I mean, that seems obvious to me that we shouldn't be doing that. And we shouldn't have to combine all of our JavaScript into one file in order to get the JSON once. So I asked ChatGPT this question. I said, I'm building a portfolio page with one data.json file. The page uses part of the JSON. So the page uses parts of the JSON is what I meant to say. So the hero uses some data, the main content uses some data, etc. If I create JS files for each piece of functionality, I end up retrieving the same data.json multiple times. But if I put all of my JavaScript in the same file, that will be messy. What's the best practice? So ChatGPT to the rescue. This is why having a lot of experience as a developer makes these tools so incredibly powerful. I mean, I'm just loving the fact that I even asked that question to begin with, and that I knew to look for a solution. This is the fun part of using AI, in my opinion. And so, yes, the best practice is fetch data.json once, then pass the data into separate modules. You can keep your JavaScript clean without refactoring, refetching the same file. So let's do this. So example structure. So we've got a data.js, which is basically this right here. So let's do this. So I'm going to close this. So we've got our data.json. We actually don't need this open. Here's our hero. Here's our projects. And then let's add data.js. And so this says to do export async function. And this is I'm just going to call it fetch data. Whoops. Fetch data. So we know that we need this. And then we know that we need this. So data.js. Okay. So we're returning our data. Got it. And then, okay, so here's the hero and the projects. But let's go back to our main. Which is actually this. I need to put these side by side so I don't have to flip back and forth. Okay. So this is saying get portfolio data is the main function. Got it. So we just did fetch data. So we just need it for, these are the things that are going to be different, right? So why does this now suddenly have to be inside brackets? I don't really understand that, but okay. And then we'll do import fetch data from modules data.js. Got it. And then we do async function init const data await fetch data. And then we do these. Got it. Okay. So init hero. We're obviously not going to need these anymore, but let me get these in first. Oh, we do. We do still need these. Okay. Just trying to keep all the pieces together. Just trying to make sure I understand all the pieces, honestly. So are all of these things supposed to be inside of brackets? What's the difference? Why does it matter? I don't know. I have no idea. We'll figure it out together. Okay. So here's our script.js. So now we should just be able to go back to our hero. So why is this data and this projects? If this is data.hero and data.projects, render hero data, render hero projects. Okay, so I'm going to ask. Why is this and this different? Why is one projects and one data? I don't understand. Good catch. There's no technical difference. Oh, it's just the parameter. Got it. Completely up to you. These are all equivalent. Okay, So got it. Got it. Because I'm passing only the projects array into the function. So I can call it data for both, which is what I would prefer to do. And then I don't have to change anything else. So we'll just say data. And we'll just say data. And then we have to remove this. Wouldn't it be cool if this worked? I think it would be so cool if it actually worked. Okay, well, let's see. We're loading nothing. Let's see what's going on here. Oh. Hang on. Okay, so let's. What did I do wrong? Oh, we don't, I think we don't need this stuff anymore, right? Yeah. Let's see, I don't need these anymore. Does not provide export named init hero. Export default function init hero. Okay, did I miss something? Let's see here. Oh, is it because I don't think we need this default? Okay. So I think this is the difference in when you need these brackets and when you don't. Oh, okay. Which file? Hero. It's here. So are we able to? We're gonna figure it out. You know what? Worst case scenario, I will pop open Codex and ask it to, yeah, okay. So well, let's do this. Let's oh, I don't think we need this. Okay, let's just ask for help. We can ask for help. Okay. Okay. I know there's a mistake somewhere. Please tell me where. And then let's just add a file. Although I have to say, I add files a lot. And it just never seems to read them. Let's just add all of them. just never seems to like really read them. Okay. Well, I just did what you told me to do. Oh, got it. Well, it didn't have enough information it was giving me. Yeah, I get it now. It was telling me to. Okay. And does our navigation still work? I do think that I sort of understand what's going on here. Yep, our navigation still works. Our on scroll still works. Okay. So I want to understand. Let's go back and finish reading here if there's any other. Okay, so I get the array part. Okay, great. This is fixed. Please explain why something is in a set of brackets and when to use default. Because I don't get it. This is one of those ES module things that confuses almost everyone at first. The good news is there's a very simple rule. There are two kinds of exports: default export, one per file; named exports, 0 or more per file. Default exports. Suppose navigation.js contains export default function init navigation. There is one default export from this file. You import it without braces. You could actually name it anything you want. Import bananas from, okay, or import foo from. Both work because the file says I have one default thing. You're choosing the name when you import it. Okay, that makes sense. Named exports. Now look at data.js. Export in async function fetch data. There is no default here. Instead, you're exporting something by its name, fetch data. So when you import it, JavaScript needs to know exactly which export you want. That's why you use braces. The braces mean give me the export named fetch data. The name must match. So this would fail. Import bananas from modules data.js because there is no export named bananas. Multiple named exports. This is where named exports really shine. Export function render hero, update hero, destroy hero. Now another file can choose exactly what it wants. So import render hero from hero.js or import render hero and update hero from hero.js or get all of the hero functions from hero.js. Why use default? Imagine a file that has one obvious purpose, navigation.js. Its whole job is initiate the navigation. That's a great candidate for a default export. Same with on scroll. Its whole purpose is initialize on scroll. Default export makes sense. Why use named exports? Suppose later you expand hero.js. So we've got an init hero, update hero, remove hero. Now there isn't just one important thing anymore. Named exports let other files pick exactly what they need. Okay, I can get on board with that. I love when ChatGPT is like, oh yeah, I've done that a million times. I can totally see why you would ask that question. Like you're a real person, but I'll go along with it. A rule I personally follow. I usually ask myself, because I'm a person who asks myself questions, does this module have exactly one job? If yes, export default function init navigation. If no, export function, init hero, update hero, destroy hero. Looking at your project, I would probably write it exactly like this. Export default navigation. Yeah, function, init navigation, init on scroll, because each file has one responsibility, but I'd use named exports for fetch data, init hero, init projects. The reason is subtle. Those files are likely to grow over time. For example, projects.js might eventually also export rendered featured video, filter projects, sort projects. ChatGPT knows what we're going to be doing. Using named exports from the beginning makes adding those later straightforward without changing how the module is imported. So I think that means, so if I do, okay, this all makes sense. And I do understand now why I had to pass in the full array, not just an object. So I get it now, dot notation. I've known about that for a long time. I'm glad this is working now. So we only have to fetch the data once. I understand default and named functions. That makes sense also. So if I do a function here, and then I come down here and I say if index equals 2, run that function, do I have to name it here? I don't know. We're going to find out because that's what we're going to do next. So, okay. Here's the other thing I want to do. I want to do, let's do like a snippets file because I feel very weird deleting this markup. Yeah, I was actually thinking about this yesterday after the stream. I was thinking, I can't believe I'm even admitting that I had this thought yesterday, which is that especially after being a Vue user for so many years, I'm like, oh, I get now why JavaScript frameworks are so nice because you have this, well, in Vue at least, you have this part of your Vue component that's a template where all your markup lives, right? So this right here, all this render gives you no sense at all of what your markup actually looks like, which is why I think if you're using vanilla JavaScript, it's important to write all of your markup and do all of your styling first because it makes the render part so much easier. But once you're done with the render part and you have no use for this anymore, it feels very weird to just delete this and to only see your markup in the DOM and nowhere it now does not exist. This structure does not exist anywhere in your file. So I'm admitting, it's not even something that I feel like I have to admit. I'm acknowledging why frameworks and libraries are so incredibly powerful because it would be absurd to build an enterprise level app where you never saw your markup anywhere. Obviously, especially, and I'm just using Vue as an example or Angular because those are the two frameworks that I've used, where you see your markup, you see the actual structure of the thing it is that you're building. So that's my point. I don't know. Did that make sense? So let's just take this because I just can't bring myself to delete it. I don't need it anymore, but I'm going to make like a little snippets file. So we're just going to call this snippets.html because I just don't want to delete it. I just don't want to. So we're just going to keep a little snippets. And Malik agrees with me. He's like, yeah, Angela, you have a good point. So let's do this. We'll say this is the portfolio item markup. And we're going to do, we honestly should do the same exact thing with the hero, which I technically deleted. So I'm just going to grab that. It's going to come to our article, copy the element, just stick that there. And this is going to be the hero item. And then we're going to have one more. We're going to have the video. So we'll say this is the video item. Where is it? It's in our HTML. Right here. I'm going to say render portfolio items here. Render hero items here. Okay. And then we do need this. We're just gonna take a copy of that. There's our snippets. I don't think we need this. All right, here's our snippet, our video snippet. Okay. Hold, please. It's working. I'm telling you, it's working. The hold please, the muted scene, it's working. Okay. All right, here we go. Actually gonna move this up. Put it right here. All right. So now we'll go ahead and add our video, and I think we are going to have to pass in data here as well, I think. Yeah. Right? My console logging anything else? Not even sure. Videos. Let's make sure that this is working. No, that's not working. Is there another console log here that I don't know about? Yes, let's take this out. Okay, I'm so sorry. I just don't remember how do I make sure that I'm seeing my data inside my new function? I can't remember. Don't tell me. Okay, this all makes sense. Thanks. Can you please remind me how I see my data inside a new function? Okay, this is where scope comes into play. Your add video function doesn't automatically know about data unless you give it access. You have you have three good options. Option 1, pass only what the function needs. Suppose add video only needs one project, which it kind of does. So function add video project console log project. Then later, if index equals 2, add video item. Now inside add video, project is just that one project object. Yeah, so I would probably do something like const project equals. Option 2, pass the whole array. If the function needs every project, option 3, let the function close over the variable. JavaScript has closures because add video is inside init projects. It can already see variables from the outer function. That means you can actually write, oh my God, this is not initialized. That's why, okay. There, okay. Got it. Okay, so now we've got access to data. Do we even need that in there? Yeah, undefined. Okay, got it. So now we have our data, but I kind of like that we only get that one project because I was sort of thinking about this yesterday too. I know exactly which video I want to appear. So I really do think this is going to be, it's not going to be dynamic because some projects have videos, some don't. I don't want to put a 12-hour project or, 5-6 hour project even in that slot. I already know that I very specifically want, where is it? This one video in that spot, which is, where are you? It's the time lapse right here. Responsive navbar build, because this is just a couple of minutes. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to just choose that one item. So this is, what is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's index 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The response, or we could just look for the title, right? We could just say, I'm going to call it time lapse. So I'm going to say const time lapse, I think this will work, equals data dot, how do I decide? How do I actually get that one? Or should I just say which one it is? Equals data. It's the fourth item. It's just that, right? Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. So I just get the thing that I need. There we go. Okay. I love it. Okay. So now we have our thing. So we don't have to for each through anything. We don't have to look for anything. We are just hand selecting the thing that we know that we want. I love it. I love it. And let's see here. Mikwami says, I don't know anything about coding or programming, but I want to do web development. Where should I start? Well, if you are interested in web development specifically, that implies HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Those are the three things that the browser renders natively. And those are the three things that I would start with. So I like to say that there are three ways to learn to do anything. Number one, take a course which introduces you to a topic. So maybe, I mean, you're on YouTube, right? So there's any number of free resources to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or just basic web development. Rather than taking 3 courses for those 3 things, I would just search for free web development tutorials or courses. Look for free web development courses on YouTube and go through the course, follow the projects, learn the syntax, right? Tutorials are great because they answer specific questions. The real learning is projects. So if you want to learn how to do web development, you need to build things. You need to come up with ideas. You need to build UIs and you need to build projects. That's where you are really going to learn and put your skills to the test. What about the programming part? Same advice. If you want to learn to program, you have to pick a language and you have to start learning it. If you're talking about web development specifically, then probably JavaScript, because HTML and CSS are not programming languages. If you're talking about full stack or back end, then that's a decision that you have to make. I would never tell anybody which programming language they would start learning, because there are lots of programming languages. There are Java, Python, all sorts of things that I've never used. I've used Java and Python. But if you're talking about web development specifically, then probably JavaScript, right? So you could either do a JavaScript course or you could do a web development course. If you're really interested in web development and building for the browser, do a web development course and then come up with an idea and just get started building a project. So what about Python for web development? I mean, what about it? What's the question? I don't know what the question is there. If you have an interest in learning Python, then go take a Python course. If the question is web development, then you need to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's my best advice. So, and try not to get analysis paralysis. I personally don't think that you should worry about what people like me think. I think if you have an interest in doing something, you should just go to YouTube, search for a course, and start taking the course. That is honestly, that's what you need to do to get started. So just start taking the course, see if it's something you're interested in, see if it's something that you like, see if it's something that you enjoy doing, because you will spend, if you decide to go into this line of work, you will spend thousands of hours of your life learning to do it and learning to get good at it. So I recommend you find something that you enjoy. And Malik says Python has Django for full stack, Flask for small apps, and Fast API for API focused. And Makwami says, wait, what about backend? What about backend? I'm not a backend developer. So yeah, you have to, Malik is right. You have to try out something until you enjoy until you find something that you enjoy. I'm a front end developer and I am very UI focused. So I like building UIs. My JavaScript skills are not super strong, but they are improving in 2026. This is the first year that I said I would learn JavaScript, like really start to learn it, and I'm actually doing it. And I've never been happier. I am so pleased. But here's the thing. I've been a front-end developer for 13 years, and I have had a very, very good career doing this work. So it's really not all about being amazing at a programming language. It's about being a good problem solver, often web development and front-end development is about being a good problem solver, being a good generalist, having a good attitude and being willing to jump in and work on things when you don't really know what you're doing. That's really what it's about. Yeah. So first of all, these are great questions. So I'm not trying to be too hard on you for even asking these questions, but if you want to do it, then you're in the perfect place to do it. YouTube is a great place for resources, courses. There's plenty of free material on YouTube to learn how to do things. Take a course. A course will introduce you to the topic and will get you familiar with the syntax. The real learning comes from projects. You will not learn everything that you need to know in a course or on a tutorial. It introduces you to the topic. The real learning comes from projects. So that is my best advice. What you choose to do or what programming languages that you choose I have no strong opinions on. It makes no difference to me. You need to figure out what you enjoy doing. But if you're asking about web development specifically, it's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Those are the three things that you need to know in order to do web development. Once you get familiar with those three things, then start looking for frameworks and libraries that you enjoy using. There's lots of directions that you can go in web development. So, okay, let's go back. Let's build our video. Good, good, good. Okay, so we need an article. So this is the boring part. This is the boring but fun part, in my opinion. So we need an article. Okay. Document. Create element. Article. Microphone's in the way. There we go. And then article, class list, add. We need both of these classes, so we're going to do this twice. I wish you could. I mean, can you chain together? Are you allowed to do this? I have no idea. No, it really doesn't like that. Okay. You should be able to do that. I feel like you should be able to do that. There we go. And then we need a figure. And we need a class of figure. Whoops. And then we need a data ID. So this just says data ID goes here. But we're just going to, it will be time lapse. Oh, where's our data? Time lapse YouTube ID. So figure, I think we have to do set attribute. No, data set. It's data set, right? Data set ID. Oh my gosh. JavaScript data attribute. I don't remember. Data ID, data set ID. So data ID, where are we here? Data set ID equals time lapse YouTube ID. There we go. Okay. We didn't actually build the video part of this yet, did we? Our GTM consent banner's still working. Nice. Load YouTube videos on click. So this is why we have this. So what's different about this is that we're building this initial container. We also have to build this. Yep. So this is turning into a very handy little resource. This is the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. So in April, I made this project called 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript, where every day I streamed a new challenge, and one of these was click to load YouTube video. The difference between this is that we only use the JavaScript to do the load. The markup was already embedded on the page. So this is going to be a little bit different. We have to do both. So we have to do this first. And then on click, we have to load the video. So this is going to be like a two-part. This is a little different. So yeah. Okay, but we're here for it. And we have another SVG that we're going to build. Okay, this is going to take this is going to take a little time. Okay, so button. And we're going to add a class. Play button. Oops. And then we also need a type button. And then we need an ARIA label play video. So we'll make sure that this is all in place first. So I feel like this is going to end up being we'll build two things. We'll have one function that is the placeholder. Then we have another function that is the click to load. And then the second, yeah. Okay, just keep going, Angela. Don't overthink this. Okay, so now we need to make our SVG. So let's refresh our memories on what that looks like. Oh, that was in our hero. It's over here. So here's where we made our last SVG. So we have to use this thing called create element namespace. So we'll do namespace is equal to, and it's this right here. And then we're going to create our SVG. Document, create element namespace. And we add the namespace and then SVG. Oops. And then we want aria hidden true. And then we want our view box right here. Let's do this. So we know what we need to put in here. So we're going to have a path. I think this only has one path. I don't see anything else in here. So we've got our class. Now we'll do our view box. And it's this. All right, now we have our path. And the path is also create element namespace. So namespace, and then path. And this is a lot simpler. This is all we have here for the path. So our other SVG had more attributes. This one doesn't. So this will be path, set attribute, D, and then all of this. And then SVG, append the path. All right. Moving forward, that's our SVG. So now we have our image and our fig caption. And the image. So what do we want our, we need the thumbnail from YouTube in order to load, we want the placeholder to be the thumbnail from YouTube, and we've got the ID, which means we probably don't need it to be, we probably don't need this data set if we're grabbing all of our data, right? Because the whole point of having putting that data ID on the button is that you're grabbing that on click. But our placeholder is all coming from the data. So I think we don't need to do that data set. Yeah. So I'm just gonna comment this out because I don't think we need it. And then we just need that URL for the video, which is right here. So this is the default URL for a thumbnail, and that's what we want to load. So the image source is equal to this, but instead of video ID, it's this. It's the time-lapse YouTube ID. And then that's our video. And then our image alt is going to be the title of the video. So the title is going to be responsive navbar build. So I'm going to say YouTube thumbnail for, oops, not literally for time-lapse title. Yeah, title. Okay, what's next? And then fig caption is also going to be the video title. Fig caption, document, create element, fig caption, and then fig caption text content is the time-lapse title. I think that's everything. Now we just got to stack them up. So I'm going to start with the outer, the parent, the grandparent, whatever. Article appends the figure. I think just the figure. And then the figure appends the button. The image and the fig caption. Fig caption. And then the button appends the SVG. And then the SVG, we'll stick that right here. So everything's nice and tidy. I think that's everything. So then we have, yeah, I don't think we need this. So this is just the placeholder. This isn't even like the thing. So then I think this, we can take this. Can't we just do, we probably have to do something like const video equals this, and then we append the video. I'm not seeing a video. But I'm not seeing any errors either. Can I just do... No, that didn't work. Oh, undefined. Okay. So then how do I get my function? Oh, probably because... Hang on. It's coming to me. Let me think about this for a second. It's on, I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue. I think we need this. Hang on. Let's make sure that this is... Add video. So we're inside the loop. How do I tell it? So do I just need to do if index 2 don't tell me. If index 2, that's just for the placement. Okay, let's put our thinking caps on. Console log, add video, time lapse. Undefined. Okay. Why are you undefined? Do I have to like define? Do I have to define it first? I don't think so. I think it's still going to be undefined. Yeah. Hang on. Did ChatGPT try to give me a hint? Let's see here. Oh. Featured video equals. See, I mean, I feel like I simplified this. So why doesn't this? Oh, because we're inside the. How does it know what the item is though? That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Yeah, it still says undefined. Okay. Okay. Well, we're gonna ask for help. You can ask for help? Okay. Okay. I'm stuck. How do I get my video function to append correctly? We're solving problems. This is good. I didn't even really realize I was giving myself such a thing I had no idea how to do. So the issue is that add video creates the article, but it doesn't return it. So this is really doing this. Yeah, I know, because it says. Fix it by returning the article. Return, oh, interesting. Okay, you got to return the article. Then this works. Also notice you probably want to pass time. Yeah, I know I probably want to do that. Again, I was just trying stuff. So, okay. There's our time lapse. Got it. And then we have to return the article. Oh, thank goodness. So there it is. There it is. Beautiful. So now this is just the placeholder. So, and we are getting the thumbnail from YouTube. So that's really cool. Our SVG looks amazing. Our styles are all in place. This is one more reason why I'm going to stress the fact that you should do as much HTML and CSS as you possibly can before anything else, because then once you get your JavaScript in place, you'll be able to see if things are working correctly. Beautiful. So now we have to do the actual click to load, which I think would be a separate function. So how do we want to do this? Yeah, we don't need the dataset ID because we have access to our JSON. We're defining which video right outside of this function, so that's good. So we still have access to this. So I think we just want to, and the for each is doing everything basically on page load. So this is just putting it in the DOM, nothing else. So I feel like we would want to do the click to load. Like here's our for each. I think we would want to do the click to load right here. Yeah. Function click to load video. Now everything we do comes after. So 1 minute, hold please. The allergies are really bad today. Is the mute scene? It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I should have thought of this a long time ago. We've had this problem, and by we, I mean me. I've had this problem for a very long time forgetting to unmute myself. So I feel like you tell me what you think, chat. I think we solved this problem. So. Okay. So here's where we actually do all of this stuff now. So what's different? So this is the part that I didn't actually, this is the part that I don't have markup for. I didn't, and I think I do remember now saying, oh yeah, we're gonna have to come back and restyle this. So we're gonna cheat a little bit. So here's our thumbnail. Now let's just take a look in the browser and see what we need. So here's what we need now. Really, we just need a figure. We need the YouTube container. And then this is the iframe. And then we already have the fig caption. So we already have the figure and the fig caption. So let's take a look at this again. So here's the figure. Here's the video container, which is where the button and the image are. And then here's the fig caption. So I think we have to add a container. So maybe we do. Maybe this isn't going to be a separate function. Maybe everything will be up here. Because we don't want to recreate all this stuff over again, right? Really, all we're going to do is create an iframe and do an event listener on our button. So we are going to keep everything up here. Malik is confirming that our muted scene is working as expected. Yeah, we don't want to do all this stuff over again. We do, yeah, I remember this now. We do need a container. So we'll add some markup. We need a div, and we're going to put the button and the image inside the div. And this is really for the styling for the responsiveness that you need. And then let's go ahead and click the button. And then you can see here that we remove the button and we remove the image and we add the iframe. So let's create an extra div. We'll call it the YouTube video container. So we are going to end up doing some styling, which is completely fine. So here's our figure. So we'll do const div equals document create element. And we just need a div. I'm going to call this container. And we'll add an ID, or excuse me, YouTube video container. YouTube video container. And then container, append the image and the button. And then the figure will have the container and the fig caption. So now we have our figure, our container, our button, our image. Okay, good, good, good. So we've done all of this. Not worried about this. Not worried about this. On page load, load the YouTube thumbnail and replace the fallback image and alt text. I'm not worried about this. Get the play button, add event listener. Yeah, and then we're going to create the iframe inside the event listener. Got it. And then this is our embed, and these are all of the attributes for the iframe. Let's do this. Let's get these side by side. Okay, so here's our button. We'll do button, add event listener, click. Here. We're going to go ahead and create our iframe. And then we'll go ahead and add this class to the iframe. Here's our iframe source. So here's the URL, the embed URL. And it has an endpoint for autoplay. Since the video is click to load and not on page load, the video will autoplay as soon as you click the button. If this was on page load, autoplay would not work. The browser doesn't allow that. So this is time lapse and it's YouTube ID. Yeah. All right. I'm not worried about the fig caption because we're already loading that from the data source. So now we just have allow, refer, policy, and allow full screen. Those are just the attributes that YouTube uses for their iframes. Iframe, allow, And then we have iframe refer policy, strict origin when cross origin, and then iframe allow full screen. And that's true. Okay, so then on click, we are appending the iframe to, we're actually appending it to the container. So there's a couple things happening here. Well, let's do this first. We have to remove the thumbnail and we have to remove the button. And we want to transition it a little bit because it takes a couple of seconds. It takes a few milliseconds for that video to load. It takes long enough that it's noticeable if you don't try to do some sort of transition. So we'll say container, append the iframe. And then we're going to add a class to the thumbnail and we're going to add a CSS transition to the thumbnail. So we'll do image, class list, add, and I'm just going to say YouTube fade. And then we'll just do a transition. And then we're just going to remove the play button, or rather button. So we just remove it all together. I do want to remove the image, but I want to wait to remove the image. So I'm going to do a set timeout. So we'll do a set timeout. And 750 milliseconds is what I thought was good timing when I did this. And then we will remove the thumbnail. And then I think I need to make sure that, oh, return article right here. Good. So we'll have to write some CSS, but this should work. Let's see. See if it works. Yeah, okay, it's working. Why didn't our image get removed? Oh, image right here. Image, that's why. There. This is totally working. Everything else is just CSS. And what's beautiful about this is that we are not loading an iframe on page load. Now we are loading a whole bunch of images, which this is why the next thing that we work on, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to stream on Thursday and Friday this next week. So mods, that's probably news to you. It's the 4th of July weekend in the US coming up. Happy birthday, America. You are 250 years old and you don't look a day over, I don't know, 200. I will be streaming this weekend because why not? So I'm pretty sure I'm going to stream on Thursday and Friday. So I think we're going to do another 4-day sprint because I really do want to get this wrapped up and get this deployed. And so what else do we have to do? We need to get our sidebar situated. I need to take screenshots, new screenshots with the proper aspect ratio. We're going to do a filter search, and we're going to do a load more because right now we're loading everything. So when we look in our network tab, let's look at our images. We are loading a whole bunch of images. And it looks like, yeah, we're loading 21 images. We're going to do probably, I mean, if we have 21, maybe every 7, that's a nice number, right? We're We'll do every 7. That way we have 3 projects plus 1 video on the home page. So if we do every 7, that would be a nice number for what gets loaded on page load. But we don't want to load all of these all of these images. They are optimized. I mean, I've done a good job optimizing these, but they're not the correct resolution. So I need to redo the screenshots and make sure that we have the correct resolution. We'll do load more every 7 items. We'll do a filter. And I do still want to do an about page and a contact page. So we should at least get placeholders in here and do a contact form. And let's also do some form validation, which I personally enjoy doing. So I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think that'll be a good 4-day stretch to get this thing wrapped up. So yes. Okay, good. But this is working. This is all working. I'm very happy with this. So yeah, so let's finish our CSS. And you can see there that we're going to have just enough time that we can put a nice transition. We can put a nice transition on this image before the video loads or while the video is loading. So this looks great. I'm very happy with this. Okay, let's do it. So our JavaScript is done. Yeah, our JavaScript is done. This is great. This makes it very easy to come in and just sort of handpick a video. So technically, this video exists here already. I don't think that matters because I'm a couple projects behind. So I have to get a couple more projects in here. And eventually, this is just going to continue to fall down the line as we complete projects. And this video, which is very short, it's 6.5 minutes long, could just continue to live in this spot. I don't really right now want to put like one of my 12-hour project videos here. I just want something quick. So, and then we're also going to do some reduce because we want to count projects and have a little counter going over in the sidebar. So I think that will be fun. So yeah, I feel like we can get this wrapped up in the next 4 days. If we push through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this next weekend. So yay. Okay. Well, this looks awesome. We can actually go ahead and go back to our CSS. And this is done. This worked really well. And I feel like I learned something new. So I'm loving this. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our CSS. Where's our video? Here's our video. Click to load video. All right. So we need to make sure see what's going on here. Okay, so we need to make sure that I need to remind myself. So this is position relative. The parent container is position relative, and the parent container is the aspect ratio. The button is position absolute. The image also needs to be position absolute. And then when we click this, the iframe is also position absolute, and everything is positioned against this container. It didn't work to do that against the figure container because we have the fig caption, which sits inside the figure element. That's why that was important to add this extra div for responsiveness. So, well, responsiveness, and also so the video is loading behind the thumbnail. That's also why that's important. So I think right now we have YouTube video, which is the figure right here as position relative. So we're going to actually change this. We're literally just going to change this to this container, YouTube video container. This all stays the same. This is now absolutely positioned relative to the div, not the figure. I'm going to change this class, even though it doesn't really matter. But this is now positioned inside the div, not the figure. And there's our play button. Okay. So now let's make sure that the image has to be absolutely positioned. Inset 0, which is like shorthand for top, bottom, left, right. We've got width and height 100%, object fit cover. And we do want to put a Z index. Just going to say Z index 2. And then we're going to put a transition on that because we are adding a class to the image, and that's going to be our transition. And so it looks like it did, we transitioned the opacity. So we have to add opacity here too. So the opacity is 1. Opacity 750 milliseconds, same timing as our set timeout. Ease in, out. Oh, and the image has its own class. Oh, but did I do that here? I did not give the image its own class. That's fine. So YouTube fade is the class that we gave to fade it. So we're going to say opacity 0. And then the JavaScript after 700 milliseconds will just remove it altogether. Where did you go? And are you right here? Oh, there's something wrong with my, what's going on with my CSS? Oh, I took that class off the figure. That's YouTube video. So I still need to make sure. Yeah, it's getting these sizes. Okay. We can handle it. We can handle it. So YouTube video wasn't on the figure, it was on the article. So I do still need to make sure, because this is getting the sizes from the other articles. Okay. So I think, we're gonna have to do, probably gonna have to do both of these. I think we're gonna have to do YouTube video figure. Because I need it to be relative to the div, not to this. But I can't only have that aspect ratio on the container. It has to be on both. But do I need, hang on. Maybe I can just do this. And then this should have its own Z index. This is, all of these things have to yeah, I think this is okay. And then the button needs a Z index. Well, it has a Z index, but it's not showing up. Let's see what it needs to be here. Okay, so that needs to be a 3. That's a 2. This needs to be a 3. Got it. Okay, so far so good. Okay. So our play button. Here's our image. Now our iframe. Did I give my iframe its own class? Yes, YouTube iframe. Okay. So let's do that right here. YouTube iframe. So I think this is just going to be position absolute, inset 0, width 100%. I don't think you actually have to do width and height if you're doing inset, but I don't know. Old habits die hard. And then Z index, I think this will be 1 because we want it to load behind the image and behind the button. Behind the image, right? Let's see what happens. There, it worked. Let's make sure it's responsive. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Hang on, it's got a border here. So let's clean this up a little bit. So I think we need to take out the border. There we go. I think that's it. Actually, all we needed to do is take out the border. So now we have a set timeout on the image. We also have a transition on the image. So let's see this in action. So here's our image. So I'm gonna click the button and the button is going to be removed immediately. The image is going to stay on top because of the Z index, because it's position absolute. So the button is a 3, the image is a 2, the iframe is a 1. So the iframe is going to sit behind the image. And then for 750 milliseconds, the image is going to fade as the iframe is loading. Then the image will be removed with a set timeout, and then we'll see the video start to play. Let's do that again. I know this is not like, we're not curing cancer here. I totally get it, but I think this is cool. There. And so we have somewhat of a transition. Now the button is gone, the image is gone, and we just have that iframe. What's happening here? Oh, I'm not worried about you. Nice. I love it. I love it. Beautiful. All right. Well, this was actually really fun. I enjoyed this. Like I said, I know that we're not curing cancer here. I know that there's people out there doing way more complicated, fancy stuff than this. I don't know. I enjoy some of the basics. I think that also we're seeing really good ways to use ChatGPT or use AI to sort of explain some very nuanced things, right? Like understanding how to fetch our data once and pass it through to multiple modules. That is amazing. Understanding a default export versus a named export. I didn't understand that at all. So this makes complete sense to me. I think ChatGPT does a really, really nice job explaining these sort of nuanced things and breaking it down. So yeah, I'm thrilled with this. So let's go ahead and commit our work. Get this pushed up. JS2 load projects and featured video. Okay. So let's talk about what I would like to work on. Okay. Osloy is here. Welcome, Osloy. Thank you for coming to hang out. Osloy found me during the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. Yeah. Monique Robinson says, good session. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really pleased with what we got done. So here's what I would like to do when we come back on Thursday. So when we come back on Thursday, we already have something set up. So we're not going to do a deployment in the like sort of a traditional sense of how I normally do deployments because practicelayouts.com is already set up and ready to go. So here's what I was thinking that we could do for deployment on Thursday. Let's use GitHub Codex to help us write a GitHub action so we can do a real world workflow, because ideally what I tend to do is I've got two branches. I have main and then I have something called integrations. And you could call it dev, staging, whatever. I usually call it integrations. And of course, I do everything locally on the integrations branch. I don't ever push to main. I'm only pushing to that dev branch, that integrations branch. And then integrations is always going to be our GitHub page. So we have a staging/dev environment where we go check and make sure that everything looks okay. Then we do a pull request in GitHub and we merge integrations into main. And then I want main to deploy to DigitalOcean to our production. That's the workflow that I tend to use as a front-end developer and that I think is a good solid workflow. So let's use Codex on Thursday to help us write a GitHub action and to connect our repo to DigitalOcean. So we are pushing from our local to our integrations branch. Integration deploys to GitHub pages. Once we check GitHub pages, we check our dev branch, our dev environment to make sure everything looks good. Then we do our pull request on the back end of GitHub, and then that gets deployed with a GitHub action up to DigitalOcean. What do we think? So let's spend the day Thursday working on deployment and working on what would we call this? CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, right? A pipeline. Let's build a pipeline. Let's use Codex. Let's figure this out once and for all. Yeah, I think this would be a good use of AI, and I think it would be fun. And I think I think for what I'm doing, part of me is like, it's not a big deal if you're working on main and you're pushing to main and then that gets deployed and then you just pop open FTP or whatever. Those things are actually fine. And if you're a new developer and you're figuring all of this stuff out, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I would rather see you dabbling with deployment and using FTP or rsync than worrying about anything else, because I just want to see you starting to wrap your head around those things and not worrying about pipelines and GitHub actions, just to get you comfortable with it and excited about it, right? But also in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but you should be doing good best practices and modeling good best practices for the people who actually watch and pay attention. So, and I'm also falling in love with GitHub Codex right now because I'm really understanding how powerful it is. And I'm seeing that I don't have to go out and spend hours and hours and hours figuring that stuff out by myself. I have this incredible tool. I know what that workflow should look for. I know what to ask for, and I know what I want it to do. So let's do it. So, okay. Everybody, thank you for coming to hang out with me today. I had so much fun. Would you do me a favor? Would you do me a favor? Would you be so kind as to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already? I'm here every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, usually around 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I mostly do vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I do have some members only content coming where it's going to be React, TypeScript, things like that. I'm on the tail end of some client work right now for June, so you can look forward to that in July. I do have more practice videos coming, things like that. Yeah, it helps the channel, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content, and it helps me grow. So with that being said, everybody, thank you for coming to hang out. Thank you for the questions. Thanks for the chat. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. I'll be back on Thursday this week. We're gonna have a GitHub Actions deployment type of day, I guess. I just decided that, and I think it sounds fun. So have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.